guys, it's Jenny. Welcome back once again to Solid Gold. Today is a super exciting day because as you can see behind me there, I have a delivery. You guys, Custom Aquariums has come through again, and my rack of not one, not two, not even three, but 6 terrariums is here. And it's raining. It actually just started raining, which is really gonna throw a wrench into this process, but it is what it is. We're gonna get these terrariums and the racking system for them unloaded off of the delivery truck and moved into my fish room, and I'm gonna start setting them up. One of the crates has already been brought up to my front door, and now it's the fun part. I have to open up at least one of the side panels, probably the top panel as well, maybe 2 of the side panels, make sure nothing got damaged during shipping, and then start unloading them. I just got done taking off one of the sides. I'm doing my best to shield my camera from the rain, by the way, if you're wondering. But check it out. You can see the stand in there. The stand is 66 inches long, and then a couple or a few of the tanks. So exciting, you know. I barely even care that I'm getting poured on. Alright, I opened up every crate and there is no shipping damage. All of the glass tanks look perfectly intact, which is so good to see. And oh my gosh, Custom Aquariums just does the most epic job packing these things. Even the delivery driver was like, wow, this is the best packing I've ever seen. So he was impressed, I'm impressed. You can see the tanks here inside of the crates. These are gonna be the taller tanks that are gonna be on the 3rd row. They're all glass. They're drilled in the back for the drainage. Oh my gosh, this is crazy exciting, you guys. Here's the middle 2 tanks. These ones are gonna be on the middle row. And then in here, we've got the bottom 2 tanks for my leopard geckos. So awesome. All right, I'm gonna finish getting these all uncrated and start carrying them out to the fish room. I just brought the first cage out to my fish room, and this is an identical one to the one that I just brought out. There's gonna be 2 of these side by side to house 1 leopard gecko each. These things are way bigger than what Sylvia's living in now. She's my leopard gecko, for those of you who don't know. But she's gonna love it. There's so much more space. So it has sliding glass doors in the front. Actually, both sides can slide, and they open up all the way from the top to the bottom. So, you know, instead of having like a partially opening front door, the whole front can open. And this type of cage here is known as the H3 system from Custom Aquariums, or their sister company, Custom Cages. They literally can make these custom to any dimensions, any materials. As you can see, the top here is perforated aluminum, so that lighting can still go through the top. And the sides, I believe, yep, the sides are glass, so I can see into her cage from all angles. That's enough talking for now. I gotta keep on unloading all of these cages into my fish room. Alright, I'm starting to lose a little daylight here. It's going to be dark pretty soon, but I've already gotten all the contents of this entire crate completely unloaded and carted back to the fish room all by myself, guys. My boyfriend Chris would be here helping me, but he actually had to work late today because he's super slammed at work, so I've just decided not to wait for him because I'm gonna bring back whatever I can, and then anything I need help with, I'll just wait for him. But maybe I can get this all back there by myself. We'll see. Look at all those empty pallets. I did it all by myself. It's a bit crowded now in the fish room though. Basically all I could really do was just stack all the pieces in here, just kind of randomly wherever they would go. And so it's a bit of a mess. And that's actually all I'm gonna do for today. It is now just a little bit past 9 p.m. and it took me 3 hours to get everything completely uncrated and moved into here into the fish room. This weekend I will come back out here and tackle setting everything up and putting it together the way it's supposed to go. But for now, I just need to be done.
Day 2. Day 3.
Now that I have the terrarium rack fully assembled, it's time to start setting up some of the tanks on it. But before I can even do that, I have to set up the automated misting system. Now, MistKing was nice enough to send me their ultimate misting system package so I can set it up on all 4 of the top tanks. When I set up my first bioactive dart frog vivarium a few years ago, I purchased a MistKing automatic misting system because that's kind of, well, it really is the standard in automated misting systems for dart frog vivariums. So of course that's what I chose back then, and I loved it. It worked really well. It's super programmable. You can customize it to come on for a certain number of seconds, a certain number of times each day. It can be different for each day of the week too. It's just awesome, and hence why I'm so excited about setting it up. So here is the box that the misting system came in and all the parts laid out. We've got the pump here, the seconds timer here, and inside these bags are all the different pieces like the misting nozzles. They also sent me this adorable little fridge magnet, so of course that immediately had to go in the fish room fridge. But the best part of all, and I am not a fidget spinner person, I've never had one before, I've barely even held one. So this is the fidget spinner that they sent, and it's an LED fidget spinner, and watch this, okay, watch this. It's kind of showing up, it's like flashing, but in person it doesn't flash, it stays on there. This is going to be the misting reservoir, so this is where the water is going to be pulled from the pump to mist all the tanks. So I'll just have to manually top this off when it's getting low, but we have attached the included bulkhead here at the bottom. And then on this side of the bulkhead, we are attaching some of the misting tubing, and that's gonna go to the pump, which is then gonna pump the water up to the tanks. This is like the tiniest ball valve I've ever seen. It's so cute. This is my diagram of Unit 5, which is these 6 terrariums. And Marty from MistKing was awesome enough to kind of make me a little diagram of how I would need to set it up for this system.
Eventually.
Alright guys, so Chris and I have been working like crazy these past 2 weeks to get the terrarium rack from Custom Aquariums / Custom Cages all set up and put together. And I know what you're thinking, Jenny, it still doesn't look like much. What the heck is going on? What have you been doing with all of your time? My plan for this rack of terrariums is to have 6 different terrariums for 4 different species of reptiles and amphibians to each live in there, and every terrarium is going to be set up really, really nicely like a display terrarium or a display vivarium, whatever you want to call it. But before any of that can happen, I have to put the horse before the cart in this situation, which is why I went and got the MistKing system, and I have been setting that all up to the T here on my rack system because I want to make sure that I'm doing everything right the first time so I don't have to go back and fix things or redo things after the fact. And I know that I probably still will have to do that here and there, and I'm okay with that. I just want to get things mostly done right, as to the best of my ability anyways, before I actually start putting the tanks on the racks and the animal inhabitants in them. So here's what the terrarium rack looks like right now. It's sometimes hard to tell the scale of things on video. The terrarium unit here is 66 inches long, it's 24 inches deep from front to back, and it is this tall. So yeah, it's pretty tall. There's the cabinet underneath the entire unit, and then the first level, there's already actually one leopard gecko tank in place there, just temporarily. And then there's a section in between with sliding doors, which I'll show you guys in a second. And then there's the section in the middle there for 2 dart frog tanks that are gonna go side by side. Again, another spacer section with sliding doors for access to the top of those tanks. And then the top shelf right there is going to be for the 2 taller tanks, and those are going to be for species of animals that I haven't 100% decided on yet, slash I don't really know if I want to announce it quite yet. So let me show you guys from the bottom up. This is the bottom of the cabinet. Custom Aquariums makes these really cool sliding door panels where all you have to do is kind of just, you know, slide it over, and you have a lot of access to that side. If you need to see the other side, you can slide both of them over to the other side so you can access that. And they even come off of the track really, really easily. And I've already done this several times already when setting everything up under here because I needed more working space. So I would just get frustrated, and then just, all you have to do is pop these off. And see how easy that came off? And then you just take the other one off as well. And now you have access to the entire thing completely unobstructed. Underneath the cabinet here is where I have all of the water management systems and all of the buckets and other reservoirs to hold water that's going into the tanks and also wastewater that has come out of the tanks. This bin right in the middle is going to be my reservoir of fresh water. So I'm going to be filling this up probably with something like a Python hose that attaches right to the sink, fill it up and put dechlorinator in there. And then this is going to feed dechlorinated fresh water to the vivariums via the MistKing pump. This is just a 14-gallon big storage container that I found at the hardware store. I purposefully went and looked for one that was really, really short, but still held a good amount of water. I could have used a 5-gallon bucket like that, but that would be 5 gallons as opposed to 14 gallons, and obviously more is better if I'm hoping that this system is going to be self-sustaining for a good period of time before I have to top off the water in that. So there you can see the little black line that's coming out of the good water reservoir. It goes to a ball valve, then it connects to this little gadget right there, which is called a zip drip. So that helps. I don't know exactly the physics of how it works, but I'm sure you can find it on the MistKing website. But or you can let me know in the comments below, because I'm sure some of you watching this will know. But that helps prevent dripping in your misting lines. Once the misting stops, sometimes there will be like drips that keep happening even though it's not misting. So then here is the MistKing pump. You see the black tubing going into that and then feeding out the other side. And then it goes up this hole that's drilled into the back of the cabinet. So then coming around to the side and the back of this terrarium unit here, you can see that the black hose is coming up the side of it. And by the way, all of this meticulous cord management that's going on here, cord and hose management, is courtesy of Chris, so thank you, Chris, for all your help. It looks really good. But so the water comes up here from the MistKing pump, and then it tees off, and this part loops around to the back of the unit, and it comes through a hole that we drilled right back there. We even put like a little black grommet in there so it looks nice. And then so far this is currently unfinished. But when all is said and done, this hose is actually going to be mounted up above the lids of all of these terrariums, and then there's going to be tees coming off of it, and then from those tees each tank is going to get 2 of these double misting nozzles from MistKing. This is one of the dart frog tanks over here that's currently in progress, so I'll give you guys a little sneak peek of that, but I'll be doing a video showing how I set the entire thing up in the future when it's a little bit closer to completion. But I just popped this misting nozzle on here really quick. It's not properly installed on here right now. You can see it's loose and spinning around, but I just popped it on here really quick so you guys can see what I mean when I say, you know, these are going to be installed on the lid. So that's what that's going to look like. So from the front of it, you'll see them hanging down a little bit, but when all of the wood and plants is in here, you really won't notice it too much. So it tees off there, but then it also continues to go up, and then it tees off again up here, and again it goes in a hole drilled in the upper part of this rack, and then again we have a loose length of hose sticking down that's gonna have nozzles going into each of the tanks up here. And the reason there's a T up there and not just like a 90-degree elbow or something is because the hose has to come all the way back down and then tie back into the zip drip again for it to work properly. So that's the water going into the system, but what about the water coming out of the system? That's what these holes that are drilled here in the backs of the terrarium rack are for. These are drilled in approximately the same location that the drain holes are drilled on the actual amphibious tanks themselves. I keep calling them terrariums or vivariums, but technically, you guys, if you were looking for these on Custom Aquariums website, they are the amphibious tanks. They're really, really cool because they hold water on the bottom like an aquarium, but on the top they have these big sliding doors and they can be any size that you want. They make these custom, obviously, custom aquariums, but they make these amphibious tanks custom to any size that you could possibly need. I have 2 different sizes of them already. This is the tall one for the top, and then this is the medium one for the middle, and I'm also getting an even taller one that's gonna go on a 3rd rack next to these guys over here. So they make all sorts of different sizes and configurations of these. It's really pretty awesome. But anyways, they also drilled these tanks for me for water drainage by request. So they're drilled right there in the back, and they supplied me with all the fittings, the bulkheads, and then these little barbed fittings that I would need, and all the hose too. So that's where the water is gonna drain out of all of these tanks. And as you can see, there's gonna be more about this in future videos, but I have created a false bottom on this tank, so that way the water will be able to sit in here and keep the humidity level high, which is where the dart frogs like it, but the soil and thus the plant roots won't be bogged down by sitting in water saturated soil, because there's going to be this false bottom elevating that, and then the dirt layer on top of that. So anyways, that's how the drainage on these vivariums is going to work. Oh, hi Marshmallow. Hi Nalu. Hi Melina. Everyone always thinks that Marshmallow is sick because he looks like he has dropsy, but you guys, he's just a pearl scale goldfish. He's supposed to look like that. And he's adorable, okay? Leave him alone. So the tank is gonna scoop back onto the shelf here, and that barbed fitting is going to tie into this green hose right here. And that is fed down behind the rack of terrariums and feeds into the bucket down here. This one right here is a 5-gallon bucket for wastewater. I chose one that's slightly clear so I can shine a light in it and easily see how full it is, because these ones are gonna have to be emptied by me manually, so I obviously want to be able to see in there easily. And I've set this bucket up so that 2 of the vivariums are gonna be draining into this bucket with their wastewater, and then the other 2 vivariums are gonna be draining their wastewater into this bucket over here. I also put lights in here, as you can see, if I kind of give you guys an underneath view here of this, or also if I go ahead and open up this spacer piece of the cabinet, you can see my little rows of LED lights, and I'm still not sure if this is going to be enough light output for growing plants in my vivariums. I'm going to try it out and see, but I might actually double this amount of light for the dart frog tanks. The lumen rating on these lights is not that great, so the lumens means the output of light, or basically how bright or how strong the light is. That's not very great on these lights because these are actually meant as under cabinet lights for like kitchen cabinets and stuff. If you guys are interested in these lights, I'll put a link to where I got them on Amazon in the description section down below. Links to all of this stuff, anything applicable that's mentioned in this video, will be in the description section down below, so I hope that's helpful to you guys. But I think they're good lights. The Kelvin rating is 6500 K, so that is very, very good. That means it's the color temperature of the light, basically. And the Kelvin rating of natural daylight is somewhere between 5000 and I think 7500 K. So 6500 K is really the sweet spot to aim for when you're talking about lighting for your vivarium plants to help them grow their best. I also do have a couple of little grow lights, and this is just something I'm experimenting with. I don't think it's at all necessary, but I kind of just want to try it out and see if it works well. Chris even rigged up the little controller for them so that it's hanging right here in reach. The grow light has a timer function right on it, so I didn't have to get a separate timer for that. It's just built right in. But I do have a timer for the daytime lights, which I actually haven't installed up there yet, but I do have it installed down here. So you can see there, the lights are plugged into that timer. and I'm probably gonna have it on for 12 hours a day. Something I thought was cool about these lights too is they come with a little remote, which I've already labeled Leos and dart frogs because they look identical. But you can turn it on and off from this remote. You can also increase or decrease the brightness with these controls here, or there's also like quick buttons where you can just do 50% or 25%, which especially for the leopard geckos is going to be really nice because they don't really like super bright lights. Oh, also you guys are getting a sneak peek of one of the leopard gecko tanks, which I've installed the background for that too. Awesome, I'm so excited. This one is going to be for little Rune, who is doing awesomely, by the way. Each level of this rack also has its own power strip, which is mounted right to the rack here, so it's not going anywhere. And this is really nice because I'm gonna have a lot of different electrical things that I have to plug in, whether it's under tank heaters, UV lamps, lights of all various sorts, and maybe even fans to help circulate air around inside of some of these vivariums. So each one has it. That's for the middle one, and then you can see the power strip for the bottom one there, and the power strip for the top one is actually mounted on the outside way up top. So there's a look into what I've been working on for the past couple of weeks. Sometimes I know it seems like there's not much going on behind the scenes with me and with Solid Gold, but honestly guys, there's always so much more going on than I really share, and that's my fault. I really need to get better at sharing things as they're happening with you guys, and I've been trying to do that on Instagram and Facebook. It's a really good way for me to just quickly push something out, some updates out to you guys throughout the week in between video updates. Chris is out there playing with a couple of his dogs. Aw, Brutus is playing. Brutus has been sick, you guys. There's more info about that on my Instagram and Chris's Instagram as well, but Brutus is finally getting better. He had a little health scare, actually a pretty big health scare for a minute there, but he looks better today, so we're happy about that. Get her, Brutus, get her! Get her, Brutus! Have you ever seen so many terrarium supplies and terrariums and aquariums all in one spot? We've got a vivarium in progress here, tons of vivarium supplies here, a whole bunch of live oak and magnolia leaves that I collected from my yard that I have to boil so I can use them in my vivariums. Some more false bottoms that are being worked on, some more vivarium and terrarium supplies. Oh look, some live plants for the vivariums. Yeah, it literally, another false bottom. It really just goes on and on for days. Thanks for watching, guys, and thank you so much for sticking with me on this. I know it's been a long time in the works, but like I said, and like I've been saying since the beginning, I really just don't want to rush this process. First of all, I want to enjoy it because, I mean, honestly, I'm so incredibly lucky to be able to do all of this stuff. And I don't want to do it if I'm not enjoying it, you know what I mean? And I also don't want to do it if I'm not sharing it with you guys. So it's always this internal struggle of like, I could get so much work done if I just didn't have to film everything, but that's the whole point. The whole point is filming it. So the fact that I have to do it and also film it makes it take a little bit longer. And also I have to wait on a lot of these parts that are being sent to me because all of this stuff is completely custom. It's not just stuff you can, well, some of it is stuff you can buy off the shelf, but like the terrarium racks and the aquarium racks and the backgrounds that are gonna fit in there perfectly, all this stuff is custom, and so it takes time to be made and shipped to me. Also, this is a lot. This is a lot that I'm taking on, and I love it, but it is gonna take time. I wanna make sure that I'm doing it slowly and doing it right the first time so I don't have to go back and redo things. But yeah, I'm enjoying the process. I really hope you guys are too. I'm sorry you haven't seen much of my goldfish or any of my other fish for that matter recently, but I do plan on changing that. My goldfish are doing awesomely. Little Denzel in his quarantine tank is ready to move in with the other goldfish any day now, and the Joaquins in the quarantine are doing great too. Everyone's doing great. I'm so happy about that. And I will be making more content about my fish in the coming weeks, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I hope you guys, just like me, enjoy animals of all kinds, because I really do. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait, I seriously can't wait to continue the progress on these vivariums and keep sharing them with you guys. So stay tuned for next time, and until then, stay gold.
Oh, yeah.
Yay!
1, 2. Good.
Yay!
Good boy.
Come on, Brutus.
Brutus is faster than you, Leia. Come on, bud. Good boy. Good boy. All right, that's enough exercise for you, bud.